But guys, I'll be honest, not a ton of news to talk about. And so I was just kind of scouring the internet looking for the latest news. And the top story of the day is ratings talk. I was like, God damn it.
I don't want to do it. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, we're not going to talk
I know.
about special.
I know.
No, it's stupid.
But I do think it is a little bit relevant, and maybe we can add some context to the show. So let me get into it. AEW versus NXT. The Wednesday Night War returns for the first time in a while. NXT actually moved their night from Tuesday night to Wednesday night because they did not want to go head to head with the election coverage. They went, smart. They went head to head like a month ago, I think. AEW moved to Tuesday because of baseball, so they ended up going on Tuesday. Now that didn't work out for AEW. Well, this one didn't work out for AEW either. NXT coming on their night, so NXT averaged 619,000 viewers, a 5% increase from the prior week. They emanated from the 2300 arena in Philadelphia, and they brought back RVD, Dudley Boyz, Rhino, and others. Actually, Dawn Marie was there, and Francine was in the crowd. So it was like an ECW nostalgia show. So they went all out with washed up, over 50-year-olds. And it worked out for them, believe it or not. I didn't think it was actually going to work out for them. I thought that NXT moving to Wednesday, not in their time slot, their usual time slot, would actually not do great for them, but actually succeeded there. AEW Dynamite experienced a dip, averaging only 523,000 viewers, a 17% decrease, and a low point since June. And NXT scored a 0.17 in the demo, while Dynamite dropped to a 0.16. So actually pretty close in the demo.
Not fair. That's actually not fair, Mike. I mean, you're talking broadcast cable. Like those are incomparable numbers because I believe NXT is now available in 6 or 7 million more households across the country than Dynamite is. I mean, like we can't, like, it's so easy for us to do this, and I think we're above the Alfred Canoas of the world.
Yeah, right? And that's why I wanted to bring context to it. I wanted to have the discussion on the show.
I mean, it just doesn't. I mean, granted, it definitely just took a chunk out of Dynamite. WWE is a hotter product. I think I mentioned that I've stopped listening to Wrestling Observer Live, and because I just cannot listen to Brian Alvarez review NXT 4 times a week. Like, I can't do it.
I listen to Wrestling Observer Radio, but I stopped with Wrestling Observer Live a long time ago.
Yeah,
unless he has like a guest on that I'm interested in.
Like, listening to Brian talk about NXT incessantly just makes me hate wrestling. Like, because he can't just review it; he has to review it multiple times a week across multiple platforms. It's just like I can't do this anymore. I don't understand how a grown man enjoys watching NXT personally. But I think that it's not fair to compare the shows when the demographics are so different as compared to like reach. You know, it's like we talk about TNA all the time. Like people say, "Oh, TNA, those numbers suck," and it's like, yeah, but where's Access available? Like,
nobody has the channel.
Right. I mean, like, so you can't compare anything. So these are like it definitely took a chunk out of it. Not a huge chunk compared to what they've been doing, but a sizable chunk. It's just I don't know.
Well, I think that's the discussion. I think that NXT, I didn't think that NXT would be able to take a sizable chunk out of their audience because I just feel like they're two completely different audiences. At least that was my assumption.
Wrestling fans like wrestling. Like there are people that watch AEW that also watch WWE, but they're going to choose WWE first. This is why that's funny. Go ahead.
No, I think that was kind of the ultimate point of this. It hasn't always been that way. It is that way right now. Mm-hmm. You throw a WWE logo on the front of the TV show. It doesn't really matter what it is. If they're going head to head with AEW, I think the people that watch both are gonna choose WWE. And I'm like, that makes no sense to me, but that just appears to be the case.
Hotter product.
Yeah.
Hotter product. I was listening to the Between the Sheets Patreon today, and Bix and Zellner were talking about Vince Russo jumping to WCW is the topic. And they had a really interesting discussion about, and then remind me of some topics that we've talked about over the years about how to be a challenger brand and how to exist outside. You know, when you have a really popular A product, how does a B product exist? Right? Like, how do you, and at the time, the fans were saying they wanted a WWE or WCW to be more like WWF. And Russo tried, and it didn't work. It was a complete and total failure. So we've talked about this before. When WWF is really successful, the idea of chasing them and trying to be like their show doesn't invite new people to come over.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. None of this has been proven. Like, all it does is isolate your fans. And Zellner was kind of like, well, you had to get more fans involved. And it's like, did you? Like, because all you did was wind up pushing away all your fans that really cared.
Yeah.
Right? It's the new Coke
Shouldn't
argument.
Yeah, you know what AEW did really effectively? They made a lot of new fans in the beginning, right? They took
Mhm.
a lot of the disaffected fans that were kind of sick of the machine,
Mhm.
and then they brought over the ROH and the New Japan fans. But then there was just like this whole other subset of fans that just that live on the internet, and they brought those fans over too. And then they got onto TNT and TBS, and they created new fans. And it seems like that is no longer happening. Like there's so many that are watching both right now. And when you watch AEW, they opened up with a WWE act under a different name. Now, I'll be honest, I think the Hurt Syndicate's kind of cool. I kind of did, like, I was not like one of those guys that thought that they should bring them over, because I was like, it's just another mid card WWE act. Although at one point Bobby Lashley was a main eventer, he just hasn't been in a while. But the perception is that you got these guys, three of them that are pushing 50 that were on WWE TV for a long time, and you're the challenger brand. But when you're a WWE fan, you watch them, it's like, oh, it's just they're just doing WWE stuff. But it's on TBS now. But I have the WWE at home already. I'll just watch that, and so they're like, I'll go ahead and check it out.
That's exactly what it is. Like, when you have WWE, you have to go out of your way to be dramatically different. And we've talked about that ad nauseum on this show. And
Yeah.
every time it seems like Tony does, he pulls back. Right. I like the Death Riders thing. I think that's pretty good. It's very NWO inspired. I want them to keep trying to be something different and not
Yeah.
like I need guys like Will Washington to tell everybody else who comes from WWE to shut the fuck up and stop trying to do stuff Vince did. Right? Well, let's see a different presentation of professional wrestling in 2024. Let's not just try to be exactly what Raw was in 1998. Right? Let's do something different. And the more you try to be like them, the less interesting you are. And when they weren't trying to be like WWE is when people cared. Right? And then, we had to do kangaroo kicks and stuff like that. And I don't want to litigate stuff from a year ago,
Yeah.
but like
I know,
that's what hurt the company.
It appears Adam Cole has not recovered from that, because he's struggling a little bit back from injury to connect with the audience, it seems.
A guy who never struggled to connect with the audience in his career. Say what you want about Adam Cole, but he never had a hard time connecting with the audience. But Max had to play out his Stone Cold Steve Austin masturbatory fantasy. And people want to blame Tony all he wants, but that was Max's dream. This was Max Friedman's dream of what a babyface could be like. And they've trying to retcon it, and they're doing as good a work as they can trying to retcon it. The problem was, a year ago, the program was total shit, and now it's not. But I mean, now I'm ambivalent toward it, so it's harder to watch because you just made me not care, right?
Yeah,
now
well, it's
I
like
need
you're
to
watching
care
a
lot.
movie. It's like you're watching a movie, and all of a sudden the bad guy becomes a good guy, and the good guy becomes a bad guy. Nobody really understands why. But you didn't really like the feud in the first place, and so now they're just trying to do it reimagined. It's like, really, they should have just moved on completely and never even acknowledged that it happened, because it just doesn't make sense. They should have paired Max up with somebody else. But I think he's just trying to, like, a lot of people don't like to fail, and so they like to prove a lot of people wrong. And so it's like, hey, this didn't work. Well, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to prove everybody wrong. And they're just trying to, and it might look. They're probably going to have a really good match. They're very good wrestlers.
Yeah, I'm sure the match will be fine. I think Tony sometimes spends too much. Stop me if you heard this before. I think Tony spends too much time on Twitter, and I think he spends too much time listening to his critics, and not enough time just trying to do something different. I think that he's gotten in his own way too much the last couple of years, and I think he has the wrong. I don't think there's anybody in that company that can really shake things up creatively to the point where just doing something different. I just I don't know, man. I don't hate it, but I really, like I said, week after week, I just feel myself becoming more and more blasé about what I see there. And I'm never gonna watch WWE, so
yeah. Well, AEW is still pretty good. Like, Dynamite's still a really good show. I've really, but I got to be honest, I did not get a chance to watch the show last night, because I I'll try to watch like Wednesday night after the wife and kid go to bed. But last night I was the one that put the kid down, and like she didn't fall asleep till 9, and I fell asleep at 9, and then I had to be up. I had to be up at 4:30, so I woke up at 4:30. So typically I would watch it in the morning before everybody wakes up, but I had those job interviews, so I still have not been able to watch it. But from what everybody is saying, it's still very good.
I have wrestling practice last night, so usually I'll watch the replay on TNT, the TNT app, and I was up late on Tuesday night watching cable news, so I just didn't have it last night.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I did see a funny joke. Like after the results came out and they got a thorough drumming by NXT, someone said they really need to just do some introspection and take a deep dive and figure out what they're doing wrong. And then somebody commented oh my God, AEW's become the Democratic Party.
My God, you just summed up my life in a single sentence. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's like they're out of touch with